My name is Rick and welcome to part 5.3, building a mean application from scratch. So in this video we're going to be covering how we're going to be setting up our two remaining static pages for our application and setting up a contact form using Node.js. So in order for this to actually work in our application, we have to be able to set up a mail protocol. Usually it's either SMTP or a service like MailGun. If you guys never used MailGun before, I would suggest you to go ahead and check them out. It's a pretty sweet service. It's free and it gives you 10,000 emails every month, and it's especially friendly for developers. So it's not super confusing to use like other products. You just get right to the point. You get your API key, you plug that into your application, you're ready to go. So if you've never seen MailGun before, I would highly recommend you to go ahead and check them out. So I went ahead and created an account there, and I got my key, and pretty much I started integrating that into my application. But I needed to I found this other package known as Node Mailer MailGun Transport. And all this it's a really small file. All it's using MailGun.js in the background, and all it is just doing your configurations for you. So it's like a little bit of a nice abstraction over the original MailGun/JS. So it's actually really easy to use, and actually give an example back over here in my code. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the code now. So before I do that, I want to actually show you the contact form. So here's the blog post and here's the contact form. So the contact form is pretty simple. Here's the Google Maps iframe that I went ahead and integrated here. The page is pretty simple. You just pretty much give it your name, your email, and your message, and you hit the send message. Right now it's disabled because the information is not there. So if you go into System, Server, Controllers, and we're gonna do Blog. And here's the controller that's actually sending the email. So I first create this function called validate email, and I check if that email is valid. Then if it is, I go ahead and try to send it. And if it's not, I'll just right away error back out with a 500 telling me that that's not a valid email. But if it is valid, I pass the config values, config mailer API key, config mailer domain, and then I pass this into Node Mailer create transport with my authentication, and I get back this object called Node Mailer MailGun. Then I send the email. I pull in my template from templates.contactForm, and I pull that template in and I send that template. So you must be saying, where's this template coming from? We have this template right here, we're including it, so we're saying require ... template. And all of this is saying is go up a directory and find template. And this is what it is. It's just a really simple template that just kind of says what the email is all about. So that's pretty much about for the controller as far as that. I also went ahead and added a route. So if we go here, here's the route. So app route contact post sends an email back to the controller. So that's pretty straightforward. No model needed for this, obviously. So now if we go to the public and we go to views and we go into contact, it's just basic HTML here, which is kind of what you saw in the presentation layer. And the controller for that one, it's really simple too. We're just doing a post. I could probably separate this out to service, but I think this is good enough for now. And I have the send message here depending on the status of the message that we get back, and an email over to Rick here. So I'm going to first give him bogus information. So let's make sure we're actually validating on an email. Perfect. So that is not a valid email. So I'm going to go ahead and enter valid information here. Let's say my name is Rocket and give myself an email address. So rocket@rocket.com. And I'm going to give myself a message saying, hey Rick, love the blog, keep up the great work. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit send message. As you can see, it said message sent. So now to verify that this message actually got sent, I'm actually sending it to this inbox here. And as you can see, the message just arrived. Hey, hi Rick, looks like Rocket has a message for you. Message. Hey Rick, love the blog, keep up the great work, Rocket. And as you can see, this is being pulled right from our template that we actually created back in templates. So if you go into our controller and we go to template, here's the template that actually got sent out, that email. And as you can see, this API key and this domain are getting pulled from our config file. And if you don't remember, our config file is right here on config environment, and depending on which of these environments, that's where your config file is. But now the question is, should I show you my config file? And probably the answer for that is probably not. But you can always, try to figure this stuff out yourself. It's not super hard. You're just pretty much copying the keys and pasting them into that file. So that's it for this video, and that's pretty much about it for the application. We're pretty much done, right? We kind of met all of our system requirements. We met all our use cases. We met, everything. We got our contact, we got our blog, we got our about, we have our goals, and everything's just pretty much working the way I imagined it in the very first beginning. So if you start watching this series from video 1, this is really exciting to see, this application getting built from scratch, because I didn't have it planned out, or I didn't code it beforehand. None of this type of deal. This was real developing on the fly. So like I said, if you have some cool ideas that you would want to share with me, and maybe integrate them as a feature. For example, I had this idea of grabbing all those log files that I'm doing every time I complete a goal, and pretty much creating a feed that outputs all those log files so anybody can see that log file. I think that would be pretty cool. But that's it for this video. If this was useful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Go to the blog, check out the blog post that I wrote that's with this video that kind of entails everything you need to know, all the links, all the code and that type of thing. Also, if you have not subscribed to my newsletter, make sure you do, because I'm always giving out free stuff, free information, and it's really useful to get feedback from you guys. So that's it for this video.